Welcome to Spectrum News at 4. I am Rita Inung, coming to you live from Uyo. Let's take a look at the headlines. President Tinubu hails Ribadu at 65. Atiku urges Tinubu to declare state of emergency on insecurity. Plus, Zelensky to speak with President Trump after U.S. proposes Russia-Ukraine peace plan. Stay tuned for details of these stories and more in a moment. Good afternoon and many thanks for staying tuned. Welcome back. It's still Spectrum News within the hour. We'll begin the news this afternoon from the national scene where President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has paid glowing tributes to the National Security Advisor Nuhu Ribadu on his 65th birthday, describing him as one of Nigeria's most steadfast public servants whose integrity and commitment to national progress have remained unshaken over decades. In a statement today by his Special Advisor on Information and Strategy, Bayo Onanuga, the President extolled Ribadu as a principled reformer, an accomplished security professional, and a steadfast defender of Nigeria, noting that his service record continues to strengthen the country's governance architecture. Tinubu praised the NSA's exceptional integrity and the long-standing dedication to public service, recalling his pioneering role as the first chairman of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, where he led far-reaching reforms that deepened accountability and fortified Nigeria's anti-corruption framework. Away from that, First Lady Oluremi Tinubu has launched the Flow with Confidence initiative to promote menstrual health and hygiene among young girls, giving out free sanitary pads for 1 year to 350,000 schoolgirls across Nigeria. Speaking at the national launch of Flow with Confidence and donation of sanitary pads to schoolgirls across 36 states and FCT, Oluremi described menstrual health as a vital issue that affects the well-being, dignity and education of millions of girls across the country. She stated that the initiative aims to empower and support 370,000 schoolgirls, particularly those in rural communities who struggle to afford sanitary pads through menstrual health. The First Lady, who was represented by Niger State's First Lady, Fatima Bago, explained that 2.5 billion naira was expended for the procurement of customized parts from a local manufacturing company, adding that the project also seeks to encourage local production and create jobs. And from the Red Chambers, the federal government is intensifying its search for fresh solutions to mounting security challenge in collaboration with sub-national units. 3 geopolitical zones, the Southwest, North Central and Northwest, will host the National Security Summit today to collate widespread ideas on how to refocus the anti-terror war. The summit is being organized by the Senate across the 6 regions to get the input of leaders and experts on how to wipe out the terrorists. Recall that yesterday, stakeholders from Southeast converged in Enugu to brainstorm and dissect the efficacy of current strategies aimed at stemming the tide of banditry. And from the national scene, the Green Chambers, The House of Representatives Ad Hoc Committee on Implementation and Oversight of the Naira for Crude Policy has given government ministries, departments and agencies a 7-day ultimatum to submit all documents requested for its ongoing investigation or face parliamentary sanctions. The chairman of the committee, Boniface Emerengwa, issued the warning in Abuja after several invited agencies failed to appear before the panel with the required records. The lawmaker further noted that despite ample notice, majority of stakeholders failed to recognize the role of the legislative arm in working with the executive for effective implementation of the policy by their failure to submit the required documents within the stipulated time frame. Emerengwa explained that the delay has hindered the committee's ability to scrutinize policy implementation, adding that investigative hearing has been rescheduled for December 2nd, 2025. And in the meantime, Deputy Speaker, House of Representatives Benjamin Kalu has said that despite the conviction of the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, Nnamdi Kanu, a political solution is underway to set him free. Kalu expressed confidence in President Bola Tinubu to listen to the pleas of well-meaning Igbo leaders on the matter, stating that the president will not be adverse to it. He urged the people of the Southeast and Nigerians to remain calm, assuring that all hope is not lost. In another development, former Vice President Atiku Abubakar has asked President Bola Tinubu to urgently declare a state of emergency on the security situation in Nigeria. Atiku made the demand today in a statement posted on his Facebook page. He was reacting to the abduction of students in Niger State. Recall that terrorists invaded St. Mary's Secondary School Papiri in Agwara local government area of Niger State and abducted over 50 students and staff. Reacting, Atiku wondered why the Tinubu-led federal government is yet to take a decisive action on the deteriorating security situation in the country. Meanwhile, in a related development, gunmen have reportedly kidnapped an undisclosed number of students during an attack on St. Mary's Primary and Secondary School, Papiri, Niger State. It was learned that the attackers stormed the school, said to be a private Catholic school located in Agwara local government area of the state, in the early hours of today. Sources said the gunmen arrived in large numbers, riding on over 60 motorcycles and accompanied by a van. They were said to have shot the school's gatekeeper, leaving him with serious injuries. In education, the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU, have urged the federal government to act in good faith and urgently address all outstanding issues as the one-month ultimatum issued expires today, Friday, November 21st, 2025. ASU accused the government of misrepresenting its offers and selectively implementing agreements previously reached, noting that partial payments of promotion arrears dating back to 2017, release of third-party deductions and other overdue entitlements were being framed as major achievements, a move the union described as misleading and damaging to trust in the negotiation process. The union's National Executive Council further expressed disappointment at what it described as the government's continued failure to prioritize education, alleging that the authorities treat the sector as a commercial commodity rather than a vital social good essential for sustainable national development. And now to Africa, where, as Johannesburg gears up to host the weekend's G20 summit of rich and developing nations, the United States has once again said it would not participate. The White House responded to comments by South African President Cyril Ramaphosa that Washington had changed its mind. Recall that the U.S. Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt said that the U.S. would send a diplomatic delegation to the handover ceremony at the end of the event, but will not participate in the talks. The handover is meant to recognize the near years where G20 will be hosted by the U.S. It is scheduled to take place at President Donald Trump's golf club in Doral, Florida. On the foreign scene, Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky will speak to Donald Trump after the U.S. has presented Ukraine with a draft peace plan to end the war with Russia. The plan was reportedly drafted by U.S. Special Envoy Steve Witkoff and his Russian counterpart Kirill Dmitriev, without Ukraine's involvement. In a statement, Zelensky's office has said that the U.S. believed that the draft peace plan could help diplomacy and added that Ukraine had agreed to work on the plan's provision in a way that would bring about an end to the war. And still on the foreign scene, relentless rains and flood have killed at least 41 people in central Vietnam since the weekend, while a search continues for 9 people still missing. According to reports, the deluge has submerged more than 52,000 homes and left 500,000 households and businesses without power. The reports say rainfall exceeded 1.5 meters in several areas over the past 3 days, even rising beyond the 1993 flood peak of 5.2 meters in some parts. The worst hit areas include the coastal cities of Hoi and Trang, as well as a key coffee production belt in the Central Highlands, where farmers are already reeling from a stalled harvest because of earlier storms. And still to come in the news, Napoli's President Laurentiis to face trial over alleged false accounting in Osimhen's transfer. Stay tuned for details of these and more in a moment. Many thanks for joining us again. It's still the news on Spectrum within the hour. Continuing from the business scene, the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria, MAN, has warned that manufacturers spent 676.6 billion naira on alternative energy in the first half of 2025 and still could not meet their power needs due to the country's unreliable and unaffordable electricity supply. The Man Manufacturing State of Affairs October 2025 report, presented by the Director of the Research and Economic Policy Division, Dr. Oluwasegun Oshidipe, highlighted the energy woes that still plague the sector despite a drop in alternative energy costs in the first 6 months of the year. The cost of alternative energy fell from 708.1 billion naira recorded in the second half of 2024. Still, MAN insisted that the burden remained unsustainable for manufacturers already battling rising inflation, high interest rates, and increased production costs. And still in business, Naira yesterday appreciated to 1,470 Naira per dollar in the parallel market from 1,475 Naira per dollar on Wednesday. The Naira also depreciated to 1,459 Naira per dollar in the Nigerian foreign exchange market, NAFEM. Data published by the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, showed that the exchange rate for the Naira rose to 1,459 Naira per dollar from 1,451 Naira per dollar, indicating an 8.95 Naira depreciation for the Nigerian currency. As a result, the margin between the parallel market and NAFEM's rate narrowed to 10.05 Naira per dollar from 26 Naira per dollar on Wednesday. In health, the federal government has released 68 billion naira for vaccine financing and deployed 50 billion naira to settle outstanding arrears for health workers. The coordinating Minister of Health and Social Welfare, Professor Mohammed Patey, announced this at the 66th meeting of the National Council on Health in Calabar, Cross River State, with the theme, "My Health, My Right," accelerating universal health coverage through equity, resilience and innovation. Partey said the 68 billion naira had already been credited to the account of the National Primary Healthcare Agency, with the Central Bank of Nigeria set to process the funds for UNICEF. The move comes amid ongoing efforts by the federal and state governments to accelerate progress towards universal health coverage and strengthen primary healthcare systems nationwide. And still in health, the Nigerian Association of Resident Doctors (NARD) has refuted claims by the Federal Ministry of Labour and Employment that a high percentage of its demands have been met. NARD described the claims as not only inaccurate but a deliberate attempt to mislead the Nigerian public and undermine the legitimate struggles of its members. Recall that the Ministry of Labour and Employment announced that the federal government had addressed 19 out of the 20 demands listed by NARD. The ministry listed some of the issues resolved to include the 25%, 35% upward review of the consolidated medical salary structure and the 2024 accruement allowances of the association, adding that the integrated payroll and personnel information system shows payment has started up to December 2024. To sports news now, where Napoli's president Aurelio De Laurentiis will stand trial for his alleged involvement in the false accounting saga in Victor Osimhen's move to the club in 2020. The figure in Osimhen's transfer to Napoli from League One club Lille 5 years ago was alleged to have been inflated. According to Tutto Sport, the Nigerian international's transfer involved goalkeeper Orestes Canezis and 3 Primavera players, Manzi, Palmieri and Liguori. According to prosecutors, the valuations of the 3 players were artificially inflated to improve Napoli's financial position. And still in sports, Tottenham Hotspur have been handed a boost ahead of North London derby, with their key player Pape Sarr potentially in line to make a return. Recall that the North Londoners suffered a blow after Pape Sarr picked up an injury while playing for Senegal. According to reports, Sarr could play only against Arsenal, which suggests that he has not been ruled out of the North London derby entirely. On our entertainment news, Nigerian music stars Yemi Alade and Tiwa Savage have finally reconciled after 7 years of feud. Their rift started on social media when Yemi Alade cryptically criticized female entertainers for enhancing their buttocks in photos to deceive their fans. Yemi Alade's post came a few hours after Tiwa Savage shared photos highlighting her curves. In response, Tiwa warned Yemi Alade to not start a war she could not finish. However, their reconciliation took place in Lagos on Thursday, the prize of being her and its panel organized by the Entertainment Week Africa. And that's all we have for you on the news at this time. Do ensure to follow us on social media and subscribe to our YouTube channel, all of which you can find on our website, spectrumtvlive.ng. You have been watching Spectrum News at 4. I am Rita Inung. Enjoy the rest of your day.